Jeremy Clarkson left his Grand Tour co-host James May rather deflated during the most recent special, Lockdown, when a high-risk stunt he tried to pull didn't go to plan. Former Top Gear trio Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May were back on top form when the Grand Tour returned to Amazon Prime Video last month with new special, Lockdown. Set in Scotland amid the coronavirus pandemic, the three presenters faced a fresh batch of new challenges to navigate their way through the Scottish Isles, all from behind the wheel of some rather cumbersome American motors. And the hindrance of the size of their cars was no more evident when Jeremy had to step up to help co-star, James, when his became stuck on a makeshift bridge. The moment came after Jeremy, James and Richard had just about managed to make their way to North Uist off the Scottish coast. And on the island, the trio could see the finish line, although there was one problem: it was the other side of a lake. In order to make it to their destination, the Grand Tour hosts were given the final task of contracting a floating bridge out of plastic compartments. While this in itself was far from plain sailing, with Richard falling in the lake when his fishing boat capsized, the hosts eventually managed to secure the bridge to the other side. And first up to take on the less than sturdy-looking structure was James in his Cadillac Coupe de Ville. "What is the chance of him making it across there?" Jeremy asked before providing his own answer: "Negligible." But taking it slow and steady, James appeared to have got the swing of things as he edged his way across, although he started to notice a problem. "I think my exhaust is starting to drag along the floor." And ultimately, it proved too big a problem to overcome as just meters from the crossing, James became stuck on the bridge with his car lodged between the plastic compartments. "This is hilarious," Jeremy commented before Richard offered up a solution, but it involved Jeremy taking his Lincoln Continental onto the same bridge to try and dislodge his co-host. Jeremy decided to pull off a rather risky stunt, crashing his own car into the back of James's to try and move him out of position. It didn't work, but Jeremy wasn't out of ideas there as he came up with the next stunt to try and move James. Create a wash by driving towards the car and suddenly braking in the hopes the momentum of the water beneath would budge the car. Once again, it didn't work and James clearly began to groan frustrated as he shouted, "B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Jeremy had no choice but to call Richard into play, and all three cars were now floating atop the makeshift bridge. The Who Wants to Be a Millionaire frontman came up with his final stunt to try and maneuver James out of position. He and Richard would combine to create the wash. And it's fair to say Richard was less than convinced. It could double the stresses and break the bridge. "But it's out only shot, isn't it?" Richard added, reluctantly getting into position and preparing to rev his engine along with Jeremy. James's frustration only grew, however, as when the pair got into position behind him, Richard revealed his engine wouldn't start. "Oh, God," James said as he threw his head in his hands, while Jeremy commented, "I am the meat in an incompetent sandwich." After plenty of fiddling, Richard did get his motor going, and in an action-packed sequence, James was able to drive off the bridge. "It be why worked," Jeremy exclaimed as he and his Grand Tour co-hosts made their way to their final destination.